welcome to another episode of Beards and Whiskey, presented to you by Grizzly Beard Collective. I am your host, Grizzly, and we have a very special guest in the building, like all of our guests are. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Nick, and I'm the owner of Avenue 1 Productions, and Greg and I do quite a bit of video work together.
Absolutely. As always, Grizzly Beard Collective, as always, our Beards and Whiskey is presented to you by Grizzly Beard Collective. Fall season is coming up. Fellas, I cannot stress this enough. Take care of your beard. Make sure your beard is hydrated. This is the kit you need, the God Box. It contains everything that you need for the holiday season. The beard butter, the CBD beard oil, the growth oil, the cleansing body bar, the derma roller, the beard wash. This is the kit you need right here to take your beard to the next level. So if you're looking for those results, this is it right here. But thank you for coming through, man. I appreciate you.
Great seeing you.
No worries.
Great
no
seeing you
worries.
as always.
Now, the show is definitely sparked with alcohol. So we have a choice here. We have some vodka, we have some Douce, we have some cognac, we have some whiskey. I think I'm going to go with the Woodford Reserve. I don't know about yourself.
I'm going to do the same. Let you go first.
All right. Yeah. All right. So thank you, man. Pour a little bit. A little heavy-handed. So you can pour yourself. There you go. Looking like a pro right there.
I don't know. I've done it once or twice.
Yeah, this has been this is probably like the fourth attempt, I think, trying to get this down pat. But we're here though.
We had to go get cups.
Yeah.
It's an important part of the liquor.
Yes. Thank you for coming through, man. So
Absolutely.
So, your career. To be honest, I think I met him through a mutual friend. I used to shoot with another guy, and he's shot all of my content exclusively. So every time I get a compliment, it's really like a compliment towards you, because everybody's like, man, the videos look amazing. And I'm like, it's my guy Nick. What got you started with the video production?
Yeah. So I started out as a photographer.
Oh, photographer.
Actually. I started out, back in the day when like iPhone 3s and 4s were out.
Okay.
So you couldn't get good quality content, with your phones like you can today.
Yep.
But I was going to school for media production,
yep.
and I just started kind of playing around with like cameras and the editing process, and I was always taking pictures even on my iPhone before I had a camera. And one day I just decided, okay, I'm gonna do this. And I started out with a $300 camera. It was a Canon Rebel T3i.
Okay.
And somehow, I don't know how it happened, somebody like was at a bar one time and they were like, oh, my friend Nick, he's a photographer, and I charged the guy, it was like $200 an hour, which was more than that was the first client I ever had.
Was that the going rate, or you just made a number?
I made it up. Yeah,
wow.
And then later on it was $100 an hour just for things, because I was working with artists. But it happened that way, and what I did was I just took that money and then got a new camera lens.
Okay.
And then made a few more bucks and got another camera lens, and I was using this $300 camera with like an $800-900 lens on it, and the photos were looking good. Eventually kept on upgrading and started looking at video, and I was getting into the editing process in particular. That's really different because, when you're editing photos, it's kind of like one photo and on to the next one.
Yep. But
with video, it's more of like you create something, and it just takes a lot more time and effort. Yep. And it makes you a little bit more money too. Oh, so I started out that way. Started shooting music videos pretty quickly. Was hanging out at a music studio every day.
Yep.
And eventually just started doing more corporate work, more marketing to help other companies, because I needed to make a living off of it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's good, man. It's important that you said that, like the importance of reinvesting, because I feel like a lot of people, they take the money, they run with it, fuck up the money, and then they're kind of fucked up back at square one again. But reinvesting, I think that's very important. Reinvesting in your business. I was having a conversation and the other day with a friend, and they were asking, like, when do you break even with your business? And I'm like, I don't really, because I think you're just always going to level up. Like, there's always going to be new things that you want to do. You might need a new camera. You might need a new marketing plan. It's just, things just come. But I don't know. When do you really make money? When you cash out? When you sell the business? I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think finally I've reached the point where, like, it's not necessarily about what type of camera you have. It's more about how do you communicate with people. How do you get creative every day? And you're forced to be creative, and learning more and more as the days go on. It's not just about, oh, I can communicate well, I can do good camera work.
Yeah.
It's thinking outside the box to level up. It doesn't just come, you know, right away. You got to actually think of ways to, oh, how do I get this higher paying client, and how do I charge more for things, and what do I have to do to get to where the big pros are? You know, I want, you know, a studio, I want employees, and you got to think about those things and apply them to make changes.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you, like you mentioned earlier, with your first rate, how, like, because I know a lot of people are starting out in the business. No disrespect, I feel like photography is like being a rapper in 2022. It's very saturated. How like, if you were giving advice to somebody new listening, how can they determine their price? Did you like call around with other photographers and see what their rate was? Did you?
It really depends on what you're trying to do, first and foremost. But if you're somebody who's looking to charge money for it, you've got to start out by doing favors for people. You gotta build a portfolio. That's the first and foremost thing. I had a very small portfolio at the time, and somebody just was like, "Sure, I'll go with you. I like you," you know. And if you're starting out, what I would say was show up to places with a camera in your hand. People will start to notice, and then they'll be like, "This person always has a camera." So. And just tapping on the shoulders of the people that you know. You know, you don't need to have the perfect model with, you know, a huge photo studio to create content. Talk to your friends, you know, and just get work out there. And if people see you with a camera in your hand, it's gonna look pretty good on you.
Hell yeah, that's good insight. So you're here in Boston. You're originally from Cali. You've gone like coast to coast. How's the transition been? Like, what brung you to Boston?
Yeah, so I grew up in California. I went to high school out there, and I played baseball all my life. And the thing that I didn't really realize, because I was born and raised in California, you know, left a few times, but never ever thought about living anywhere else. But the reality of it is when you live in a state that has sunshine all year around, you're better off than the people who got to deal with the snow.
I was going to ask, why would you ever leave in your life?
Well, really what ended up happening was I got onto a recruiting website. And, you know, coaches from colleges all across the country can view that recruiting site. And I was a left-handed pitcher. So I was a commodity for what it's worth. And
Southpaw.
Yeah, exactly. And there's plenty of teams that I was talking to, but it really came down to either Boston or Chicago.
Okay.
And there was the real reason why I picked Boston was because I looked at Boston on a map, and then I looked at Chicago on a map. And I said, you know, Boston has all these small little like states around it and stuff, and it looks like that'll be a better fit. Let's do Boston. And because the teams in Chicago and Boston were offering the same, like it was a pretty similar education expense, and the scholarships were pretty similar, but I said, let's go with Boston.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a package for you. This one right here. Yo, how'd you get your beard like that?
Grizzly Beard Collective. You're in luck because they're actually doing a monthly subscription right now.
Excuse me. Hi, Chris, baby. I'm gonna just go freshen up.
Say no more.
Yo, have a nice day, bro.
You too. Tammy Debonair, my brother.
It's recording? All right. So Southpaw,
Yeah.
what type of pitches did you have? What type of pitcher did you have? Like heat? Were you like a pitcher who nibbles the edges? Like
Yeah. So I played with a lot of really good players. A lot of them went Division One. Some of them went up to the pros and stuff like that.
Okay.
And what I was told was, I don't throw hard.
Okay.
I did not throw hard as a pitcher. I'm not. They thought I was going to get big, but
Yeah.
I've been the same size since I was a sophomore in
wow.
or high school. So they thought I was going to really spurt up and grow, and I didn't. But what I did do right was I threw strikes, and that's just what you got to do. They can't hit a home run if you don't throw it hard enough.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
so my fastball had a lot of what's called tail.
Yep.
And it just means it moved.
Yep.
And yeah, I relied off that, hit the corners, get a little couple extra inches on each side because of the tail.
Yep.
And had a pretty good curveball and a solid changeup. So
Okay.
yeah,
The
yeah.
3 pitches.
Yeah.
What was your what was your fastball at? Would you say like mid 80s?
Probably lower 80s. Yeah,
Lower 80s?
lower
Okay.
80s. Yeah, and if not high 70s.
Okay.
Like I was not a hard throwing.
You were like a ground ball type pitcher, or
Yeah,
just-
so
just-
pretty much my job was to throw strikes
Yeah.
and let them hit the ball
Yeah.
because they're not going to hit it out of the park if it's only going
Yeah.
78 miles per hour.
Yeah.
The other kids were throwing 90, 95, you
Yeah.
know, and it actually threw a lot of people off. And again, just throwing strikes to let them hit the ball, let the infielders do the work, hit ground balls, you know, and just pop ups to the outfield, you know.
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So one thing we do on the show is top 5. We do a lot of like top 5. So who are your top 5 baseball players of all time?
It's a good one. So funny enough, I didn't really like baseball.
Oh wow.
I did it because it was a good way to stay out of trouble and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I grew up in outside of San Diego.
Yeah.
So I was a big Padres fan.
Mhm.
So I remember this team, very well. Though, what was it? It must have been 2003, 2004 Padres.
Tony Gwynn in them?
After Tony Gwynn.
Oh,
Tony
Trevor
Gwynn
Hoffman?
was
Yeah.
I watched the Trevor Hoffman retire.
Yeah.
I was a big Khalil Green fan, although he kind of fell off.
Khalil Green.
Yeah. I had like the signed plaques. Yeah.
Khalil Green.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had
forgot
signed
all about
plaques.
him.
I still got them at home.
Khalil Green.
He had to
Okay.
stop because of mental health issues.
Oh, wow.
Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
yeah, Mike Cameron was in center. We
Mike
had
Cameron, yeah.
Brian Giles was somewhere thrown in there.
Brian Giles.
Uh,
Jesus.
yeah.
Wow.
Jake Peavy.
Jake Peavy. He was
You
he
know?
was the man that
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he had like a good little run, I think, there. And then, did he go to Chicago and was he solid too?
Yeah. I mean, he
JP.
was getting old at that time.
Okay.
But it's funny, because I grew up playing baseball and stuff, and I ended up coming out to Boston and eventually working in radio,
Yeah.
where we ran the Red Sox radio network.
Yeah.
So I now live, 10 minutes away from Fenway Park, and from a kid who grew up in California who never thought he was going to be
Crazy.
coming to Boston, I grew
Crazy.
up collecting those baseball cards.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to, see the inner workings of the Red Sox, to interview, Alex Cora every week. And, that job in particular gave me a lot of experience in the corporate world too, which was very beneficial in the long run.
Yeah. So shifting gears back to the photography a little bit.
Yeah.
You went from freelance to more of a corporate setting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the corporate job was only part-time.
Okay.
What happened was I was working at a vape shop during college, and that was getting people to quit smoking all day.
Yep.
And that vape shop, they closed down, and it was right after I finished college. I think mid-May I finished college, and by September the shop was closing down. And I was already freelancing, and one of the cool parts about working there was I didn't do much half of the day. So I dedicated the last year and a half to learn, really to perfect the craft of video editing. And with that, yeah, the vape shop closed down, and I was already working at the radio station for only 15 hours a week. So it was $15 an hour. So I wasn't paying my bills. So I was like, okay, what do I want to do now? Do I want to go get another part-time job, a full-time job, or try to make this freelance thing work? And I made it work.
How tough was that pivot to make? Because I know plenty of people who, they're stuck at their 9 to 5. They're scared to make that jump. They kind of got one foot in, one foot out. How do you have parents that are entrepreneurs, or like do you have friends that are entrepreneurs? Like, who pushed you to that? Was it just like yourself, or?
It was just myself. I mean, you know, both my parents are hardworking.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell it came from, to be honest with you. I don't know why, like, I chose it. I didn't grow up, like, filming things and stuff of that sort of, like a lot of people did, you know. I grew up playing guitar.
Yeah.
And it just all kind of clicked one day, you know, and I was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let anybody else tell me no.
That's good stuff.
And it wasn't even like, oh, I want to make a lot of money off of this. It was like, this is way more fun than my normal job at the vape shop, and I'm getting paid what I get paid in a week and a day.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer, you know. Yeah. And yeah, when the vape shop closed down, I just kind of chose, you know, and I was like, I'm going to continue to freelance, and thank God I did, because it really worked out. But I wouldn't take no for an answer. I really had to like learn the hard way. Like, I didn't get gifted a camera from mom and dad. They didn't give me money to go buy a camera. Like, no, I figured this stuff out on my own.
Hell yeah.
You know, it feels good.
Hell yeah. So you really had to like work your way through the grind. I do have a question.
Sure.
What was, so I have like a few friends who are videographers, photographers, and I feel like most of them starting out usually start off doing like rap videos. They start doing rap videos. What was like the worst rap video experience? Because all my videographer friends have that one experience where it's just like, you know what, I think I'm just done with this.
So, I don't know if I even told you this, but I did film, if I had to make an educated guess, probably 120 to up to 200 rap videos.
So you're like, you prestige then.
I did. I've been in every part of Boston. Seriously, like you wouldn't believe it, because they liked me because I was straight with them, and I didn't, you know, and it was how I made a living.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, you know, slack. I can communicate with them. Like, they loved it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they couldn't communicate with me that well.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot, and to be honest, it was great because I got to experience like a culture that I never thought I would experience in my life.
That's crazy.
But worst thing, I remember when it happened, because I remember calling my friend, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And what happened was, I don't know if you've met my older mate Peter, but he's about your build, you know, and he's a big guy.
Slender.
Yes, slender, exactly. What I'm saying. But I would hire him as my behind the scenes photographer, and he didn't know to use a camera. I set it up for him, and I say, just press the button and it'll take pictures, and I'll post it, and people like it, you know, for behind the scenes stuff. But I would bring him as my behind-the-scenes photographer / bodyguard.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a time where I was like, I need some money.
Yeah.
You know, and artists would hit me up, and they'd be like, yeah, I've got $300, $500, and I was like, I normally charge at least double that, if not triple, like, but I need the money.
Yeah.
Right? So I got hit up by a guy, and he was like, yeah, the shoot is, you know, it's like 20 minutes away or so, and I think we drove from like Cambridge to West Bridgewater to some Airbnb, and this is actually a good one. I'll make it quick, but
no, you're good.
Basically, he
West Bridges, so that's like 45 minutes. 50
well, so first of all, I don't have a car,
and
at the time I was like, hey, come, you got to pick me up. That's a part of this whole thing. You got to come pick me up from wherever I'm at, and you know, pick me up and all that stuff. So he came and picked me up in Alston. He says he's going to be there at 1, and he got there at 3:30. And then we drove to Lynn. We drove to Lynn, and then we drove to Cambridge so we can pick up his rental car. And then he hopped in the car with somebody else, and it was just me, Peter, and some other dude in the car. And we get in there, and we're going to West Bridgewater. We had no idea where we were going. And we get there, and it's this big summer pool party.
Wow.
Right? And I had the best jerk chicken of my life.
Wow.
I swear that this Jamaican man, he knew what he was doing. Peter will say it too. But anyways, we got there, and I was like, let's start filming, and the artist was like, oh, just chill, man. Like, we're good, like, for now. And I was like, okay, like, I'm kind of here to work. Like, I didn't want to come hang out today, you know? And because also there's sunlight, you know, there's a lot going on. So I'm like, I want to produce a good video here. And we eventually started filming. And, you know, we did a scene or two just of the song. And then he's like, I want my friends in this too. And we're like, all right. So he brought all his friends over, and there's probably 10, maybe 12 different guns in the video. To the point where my bodyguard / behind the scenes photographer was like, hey, don't point that at me. And he didn't mean him, he meant at me, because they're all pointing it at me, you know. And you look back at the footage and it's there. But basically, it was this crazy time, and everybody started drinking. Everybody started getting riled up, I guess you would say, and started arguing. And we've got all these. It's literally the typical rap video scene, right? You got all these guns, you got all of these fancy cars, these gorgeous cars, right? Parked out front of some big old house, and everybody's fighting. And at that point, I was like, hey, we're gonna leave now. And Peter and I were leaving, and the artist, so the person who brought us down there comes back stumbling drunk, like slurring their words, they're drunk. And they said, hey, I'm gonna drive you home, man, I brought you down and I'm gonna bring you home. And I was like, you aren't driving us home, there's no way. We're gonna get in with this dude, he's gonna drive us home. And he was like, oh, no, like, no. So we went with the other guy who was more sober, and same thing with him. You know, he wasn't slurring, but he had a big old red Solo cup full of Henny, and a very, very, very large joint. And he burned that the whole way home, going 95 from West Bridgewater all the way into Boston, cutting corners, you know, flying around cars, whole 9 yards. And Peter was like, hey, I'm actually scared for my safety. And the funny part was I was like, oh, don't worry about it. But the best part was I was sitting, you know, behind the passenger seat, so I couldn't see the road. Peter was sitting in the middle, so he could see every turn that was going on and stuff. And anyways, we get about halfway there, and the artist looks back and goes, hey, we're gonna go film some more scenes. And I said, hold on, we're gonna do what? He said, we're gonna go film more. And I was like, first of all, it's night out, I didn't bring any lights. Yeah. Second of all, you booked me from like 3 to 7, and it's now like 10 p.m. and we started at like 3. I'm going home. Yeah. And he's like, okay. And he was driving, so I couldn't really like tell him what to do. Yeah. Brought me over to Cambridge. It's some like basketball court in the projects, and my bodyguard looks at me and was like, all right, I'm out. Later. Left. And it was just me and the artist. Wow. It wasn't very friendly. Yeah. And I looked at the artist and I go, hey, I'm not going to film anymore. Yeah. I told you when I was going to be here from, and now we're over by 2 hours. Why am I here filming? And you could have filmed this scene and put it into any movie. Yeah. Because what happened next was I told him I wasn't filming. Yep. He took a deep breath and paused for like 5 seconds, which is an eternity. Yep. And he was the one fighting with everybody back at the pool house. Yep. So he was the one who was getting upset and everything. And he looked at me and he was like, all right, man, thank you so much for coming, and like dapped me up and stuff, and like I called it a day and got home and everything. But
did he end up paying you?
Yeah. So that was the thing. Like I learned the hard way with these artists. Like if I don't get a deposit at the very least, I'm not doing it. Yeah. And I made that very clear. So this dude did come over with like his wad full of 100s when he was paying me like $400. Yeah. And like he like pulled out a big old stack and and paid me out front of my house. Yeah. You know what I mean? And gave it to me as deposit, and then like came back and paid me eventually. But that was the point where I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm in danger 90% of the time. I'm done.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. That is nuts.
And there was so many times like that.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I just want to apologize on behalf of all colored people for your experience.
No, absolutely. No. It wasn't. Like I said, I met so many great people.
Yeah,
really.
Well,
I met so many great people, but more than 50%, if not 80% of the time, It was that, and I had to go and make sure. Hey, is your clip out?
Yeah.
Hey, we're on a corner with a pound right now. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like it's broad daylight out.
Yeah.
And it was that all the time, and I didn't think I was gonna get in trouble for it, you know.
But
and I probably wouldn't. But this is how I make a living. This is how I pay my rent. You know. So it's like that.
That's nuts. That's nuts. One question I did forget to ask at the beginning. Your beard journey. Are you a guy with facial hair? Do you normally keep a clean shaven face, or?
Yeah. So I keep a clean shaven face.
Yep.
You know. I can grow the facial hair. Definitely not to what you would like expect as like a, having a full beard.
Yep.
My twin brother got a beard.
Wow, that's crazy.
Beard, right? For me, I was like, I don't like. He's got more like blonde, brown colored facial hair.
Yep.
Mine's black, which doesn't match my hair. So I go through the different phases of being Dirty Sanchez and everything, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop this. I look like I'm homeless. So my father's got a big old goatee.
Yep.
A little longer than yours, but he's got it, mustache too. So I don't choose to do it just because it doesn't fit me. But
No, absolutely. So if we had 5 dinner guests, dead or alive, from any walk of life, celebrity, I don't know, family, who would you have at your dinner?
That's a good one. Who would I have at my dinner? First thing goes to the music icons.
Okay.
Right? I would love to have a meal with Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix, okay.
Alright.
I knew you were going to say that. I felt it was either going to be Jimmy or like Bob Marley.
And Bob's the second.
Okay.
Alright. Let's see, there's 3 more.
Yep.
Right? Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive. Kevin O'Leary. Guy from Shark Tank. He actually is funny. He started in the film industry.
Wow, I never knew that.
He started in the film industry.
Mr.
Wonderful.
Wow, for real?
Started in the film industry and loves playing guitar. And I was like,
I didn't know he plays guitar. Yeah.
So I was like, So that'd be number 3, just because I think it'd be a fun conversation to
Yeah,
talk about
absolutely.
his film stuff.
Absolutely, that's crazy.
Let's see. Last 2 will make it simple. My mom and my dad.
Wow.
They're both still here with me. But my mom lives in Virginia. My father lives in California. I don't ever see him.
No, that's well, typical middle-aged Boston son. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people move to. It's just such a transient city. People move to Boston. They don't see their family. They get stuff.
Never see him. Maybe once a year. Maybe once a year, and that's if they can work out their schedule and I can work out my schedule.
There you go.
My mom's supposed to be here right now.
Oh wow.
She's only been to Boston 2 times before. The first time was to check out the college. The second time was she called me one day and was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm editing at home," and she was like, "I'll be in town in about an hour."
Wow.
And I said, "What the hell are you doing up here? Like, come on, what are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh, we went to Maine to go do some things, and now we're coming like back." And I was like, "Maine? Like you live in Virginia?"
All the way over shot Boston.
Yeah, exactly. Right, the past plan. But she was supposed to fly out yesterday.
Yep.
But her husband got COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, so she had to cancel it like 3 days before.
That sucks. Yeah.
It's okay.
That sucks.
Everyone's doing okay.
Yeah. Yes. So you said Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
What's your musical taste like? Like, what do you generally listen to?
I listen to a lot of Bob Marley.
A lot of Bob Marley. Okay.
A lot of Bob Marley.
So you're like old school reggae?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big reggae. I grew up with Peter Tosh on Christmas morning.
Peter Tosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I would go to the Caribbean.
I know I like this guy.
Yeah. I love reggae. But when I go to the Caribbean, I would play like Greg Isaacs.
Oh, damn.
And like Freddie McGregor and stuff.
Yep.
And the natives, the locals on the island, they would look at me and say, "How do you know this?" and I would say, I grew up with this. And they're like, "What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?" And I was like, "I grew up listening to this music with my dad," and they were like, "How? This is ours." And I was like, I guess, but
In a day, your bed goes through a lot. Now you can clean it without stripping it of its natural oils. Clean it with Grizzly Beard Collective's Beard Wash.
All right, man. I do want to thank you very much for pulling up, man. It's definitely been very insightful. I definitely dropped a lot of gems too. I feel like, I feel like a lot of people when they're getting into quote unquote, I hate the word entrepreneurship. It's usually I hate to say it's usually a rapper or a photographer, and I know a billion photographers, and usually. A lot of them stumble because they don't have the drive, or they feel like there's somebody else who does photography or whatever. Everybody has a camera, but like you said, I think the important thing is thinking outside the box. Because it's kind of getting scary because these iPhones are taking camera quality photos, so it's like, and people have, I think it's like the instant gratification thing where people get the pictures right there. So
that's one of the things I always say, and it's almost like I got lucky, but I started at the right time.
Yeah.
I started when you knew if you were getting a photographer or you were getting an iPhone photo.
Yeah.
Right now it's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
And I don't think it's the worst thing. I think there's other ways for photographers to be creative.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, people are getting that instant gratification from their phones.
Yep. And it's tough, and but you nailed it on the head. I think the important thing is thinking outside of the box and staying consistent. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do want to thank you for coming through, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Another episode of Beards and Whiskey in the books, and yeah, we're out of here. All right, thank you, man.
Absolutely, man.
You can hit the you can turn them off. Just hit it one time.
Nice and drunk now too.
Yeah, perfect.